Hello students, I Dr. Masroor Ahmed Beg, Principal Zakir Hussain Delhi College Evening welcomes you all to this online session on macroeconomic phenomena and policies. In my previous session, I had explained different approaches for macroeconomic equilibrium. In continuation of that, I try to explain over the following aspects: excess demand, deficient demand, monetary policy to correct excess and deficient demand, fiscal policy to correct excess and deficient demand. As we all know, an economy can hardly be at the level of full employment equilibrium. Thus, the situations of excess and deficient demands are inherent for any economy, and in order to correct those situations, monetary and physical measures are necessarily required. So, try to understand together how it all works. Excess demand refers to the situation in which aggregate demand AD is greater than the aggregate supply AS, corresponding to the economy's optimum output level of employment. It is the excess of the investment expected over the expenditure of the output of full employment. An inflationary gap is created by excess demand. The inflationary gap refers to the gap through which real aggregate demand exceeds the aggregate demand needed for a full employment balance to be created. It is referred to as inflationary because it contributes to an increase in the economy's general price level. With the aid of the following figure, the ideas of excess demand and inflationary gap are illustrated. Figure 1, inflationary gap. Income, output and employment are measured on the x axis in the diagram, and aggregate demand on the y axis is measured. The curve of aggregate demand AD and aggregate supply AS converge at point E, which implies the complete equilibrium of employment. Aggregate demand is growing from AD to AD1 due to rise in investment spending delta I. It denotes an excess demand condition, and the difference between them, that is the EF, is referred to as an inflationary gap. It should be remembered that the state of surplus demand in the economy creates inflationary pressure. The greater the inflationary gap, the greater the economy's inflationary pressure will be. Reasons for excess demand: due to several factors, excess demand could occur. Among them, the significant ones are listed below. Owing to the increase in the propensity to consume or the decrease in the propensity to save, excess demand could occur due to an increase in consumption expenditure. It can also arise as a result of a reduction in taxation due to a rise in disposable income and consumption demand. Excess production would also benefit from higher government demand for goods and services due to increased public spending. Excess demand can also occur as expenditure rises because of a decline in interest rates or a rise in projected returns, owing to higher foreign prices relative to domestic prices. Reductions in imports may also contribute to surplus demand. Excess demand can also occur as export demand grows due to comparatively lower prices of domestic goods or a decline in the domestic currency exchange rate. Excess demand can be induced by a rise in the supply of money generated by deficit financing. Impact of excess demand. Excess demand is not a desired condition, and when the economy is at maximum employment level, it would not contribute to any rise in the level of marginal production. The effect of excess demand on production, employment and general price levels is as follows. Number 1, effect on output. Excess demand does not influence production levels. Since the market is still at maximum employment level and the market does not have idle capacity. Number 2, effect on employment. As the economy is now running at full employment equilibrium and there is no forced unemployment, there will be no improvement in the employment level. Point number 3, effect on general price level. As aggregate demand is greater than aggregate supply, excess demand contributes to an increase in the general price level known as inflation. Deficit demand. Deficit demand refers to the situation in which aggregate demand AD is lower than the aggregate supply AS, equivalent to the economy's maximum production level of employment. When expected aggregate expenditure falls short of aggregate supply at maximum employment level, the condition of a deficit demand occurs. This brings the deflationary gap into being. The deflationary gap is the gap where real aggregate demand falls short of the aggregate demand expected to create a complete equilibrium of employment. Figure 2, deflationary gap. Figure 2 illustrates the principles of deficient demand and deflationary gap. As seen in the diagram, on the x axis income, output and employment are calculated and aggregate demand on the y axis is calculated. At point E, aggregate demand AD and aggregate supply AS curves converge, suggesting the complete equilibrium of employment. As investment spending delta E decreases, overall demand falls from AD to AD1. It signifies the low demand condition, and the difference between them, that is EG, is referred to as a deflationary gap. The underemployment equilibrium is suggested by point F. It should be remembered that equilibrium is calculated at a degree less than full employment. Equilibrium during deficit demand. It results in an equilibrium with underemployment. Involuntary unemployment occurs in this case. Reasons for deficient demand. The rationale for the phenomena of deficient demand is almost contradictory to the rationale for excess demand. The key causes of insufficient demand are a reduction in spending on consumption, leading to a decrease in the tendency to spend, contributes to a lack of demand in the economy. AD can also decline due to higher taxes being levied. This leads to a decline in disposable income, and as a consequence there is a lack of demand for the economy. If the government lowers the demand for goods and services due to reduction in public spending, it contributes to low demand. Increases in interest rates or declines in projected returns can contribute to a reduction in investment spending. This drops the AD and gives rise to poor demand. If global prices are somewhat cheaper than domestic prices, this may lead to an increase in imports, resulting in a decrease in aggregate demand. Exports could decrease as a result of comparatively higher domestic commodity prices or as a result of an increase in the domestic currency exchange rate. This will lead to inadequate demand. Impact of deficient demand. Because of its deflationary existence, low demand causes numerous economic difficulties. In general, the level of output, employment and price levels in the economy are adversely influenced by low demand. 1. Effect on output. The inventory stock would rise due to a lack of adequate aggregate demand. It would push businesses to prepare for subsequent periods of reduced demand. As a result, projected output will decrease. 2. Effect on employment. Due to the decrease in expected production, low demand creates involuntary unemployment in the economy. 3. Effect on general price level. Deficient demand leads to a decrease in overall cost due to a shortage of demand in the market for goods and services. Excess demand versus deficient demand. The concept of excess demand versus deficient demand can be understood on the basis of the following points. 1. On the basis of meaning. Excess demand, it applies to the condition where AD is more than AS, which correlates to the economy's optimum employment level. Deficient demand, this applies to a condition where AD is smaller than AS, which relates to the level of full employment in the economy. Point number 2, inflationary or deflationary gap. Excess demand corresponds to a inflationary gap. Deficient demand, this contributes to a deflationary gap. Point number 3, equilibrium level. Excess demand, it indicates over full employment equilibrium. Deficient demand, it indicates underemployment equilibrium. Point number 4, reason. Excess demand, this is attributed to a surplus of planned spending, that is an expansion in demand, investment expenditure, etc. Deficient demand, this arises due to lack of planned spending, that is due to a reduction in consumer spending, investment expenditure, etc. Point number 5, impact on output and employment. Excess demand, production and employment are not affected as the economy is now running at full employment level. Deficient demand, due to extreme lack of aggregate demand, this leads to a decline in production and employment. Point number 6, impact on price. Excess demand, this contributes to inflation, that is it leads to an increase in the average price level. Deficient demand, this leads to deflation, that is leading to a decrease in the general price level. Fiscal policy to correct excess or deficient demand. Fiscal policy of the government is an important instrument to correct the imbalances of demand either through government spending or change in taxes. Government spending is an important component of aggregate demand. This measure is a component of monetary policy and is referred to as the government's expenditure policy. Government invests enormous amount on public works such as road construction, flyovers, buildings, railway lines, etc. Improvements in such spending have a significant effect on the extent of AD in the economy and help to monitor the excess and deficit demand condition. Taxes are the government's primary source of income. This measure is a part of fiscal policy and is termed as revenue policy of the government. Government imposes different kinds of direct and indirect taxes on the public. The level of aggregate demand is directly affected by modifications in government taxation, which tends to control surplus and inadequate demand in the economy. Fiscal policy measures to correct excess demand. During excess demand, the current aggregate demand in the economy is more than the full employment level of output. It happens because of rise in money supply and availability of credit at easy terms. In order to correct excess demand, the following measures may be adopted. A. Decrease in government spending. In order to monitor the situation of surplus demand, the government should reduce its budget to the maximum extent possible. More emphasis should be placed to reduce expenditure on defense and unproductive works, as they rarely help in growth of a country. The reduction in government spending would lower the level of the economy's aggregate demand and help to correct the economy's inflationary pressures. B. Increase in taxes. The government changes tax rates during excess demand and also introduces certain new taxes. This contributes to a reduction in the amount of the economy's gross consumption, which helps to manage the condition of excess demand. Fiscal policy measures to correct deficient demand. During the situation of deficient demand, the level of aggregate demand in the economy is less than the full employment level of output. It happens due to decrease in money supply and availability of credit. The measures adopted to control deficit demand are just opposite of the measures used in excess demand. A. Increase in government spending. During deficient demand, the government should increase expenditure on public works like construction of roads, flyovers, buildings, etc., with a view to provide additional income to people. This will increase the aggregate demand and will help to correct the situation of deficient demand. B. Decrease in taxes. During weak demand, the government cuts tax rates and even abolishes some of the taxes. It raises the purchasing power of people. Due to increase in disposable income, people are able to spend more on consumption and investment. It raises the level of aggregate demand and helps to control the situation of deficit demand. Monetary policy to correct excess and deficient demand. The Reserve Bank of India is persuaded by its monetary policy to control the money supply in the economy. It is the economic policy implemented by the central bank in the direction of credit management or the provisions of money. Monetary policy allows through the following tools to monitor the situation of excess and deficit demand. A. Quantitative instruments. The aim of these instruments is to impact the overall amount of credit in circulation. The key methods or steps are 1. Bank rate and repo rate. The rate at which the central bank lends money to commercial banks to satisfy their long term needs is the bank rate. The repo rate, however, is the rate at which the central bank lends money to commercial banks to fulfill their short term requirements. 2. Open market operations. Open market operations apply to the selling and purchasing by the central bank of securities on the open market. The level of money supply in economy is directly influenced by it. Number 3. Legal reserve requirements. Commercial banks are required by means of the following ratios to retain legal reserves: cash reserve ratio, the minimum percentage of net demand and time liabilities that commercial banks have to maintain with the central bank. Statutory liquidity ratio, it corresponds to the minimum percentage of net demand and time liabilities to be held by commercial banks on their own. B. Qualitative instruments. The purpose of these tools is to control the direction of credit. Significant qualitative methods or indicators are: 1. Margin requirements. The provision for a margin applies to the difference between the market value of the given security and the value of the amount borrowed. 2. Moral suasion. This is a mixture of the persuasion and leverage exercised by the central bank on the other banks to bring them into action in a way that is consistent with its strategy. By meetings, emails, speeches and hints to banks, moral suasion is practiced. 3. Selective credit controls. It applies to a system in which the central bank orders other banks to give or not to give credit to a specific sector for certain purposes. Monetary policy. Measures to correct excess demand. Through its monetary policy, the central bank RBI seeks to reduce the supply of credit in the economy. Such steps are defined as follows: A. Quantitative instruments. 1. Increase in bank rate. The central bank raises the bank rate during excess demand, which increases the cost of borrowing from the central bank, which causes commercial banks to lift their credit rates, discourages borrowers from borrowing, decreases the supply of economic credit and tends to correct excess demand. 2. Increase in repo rate. The central bank raises the repo rate during excess demand, which increases the cost of borrowing from the central bank. As a consequence, commercial banks are pressured to raise their rates of lending, which discourages borrowers from taking out loans, decreases the supply of credit in the economy and tends to counter excess demand. Number 3. Open market operations, sale of securities. Central bank propose securities for sale in the case of excess demand. The issuance of shares lowers commercial banks' assets. It adversely affects the capacity of the bank to produce credit and lowers the level of the economy's aggregate demand. Point number 4. Increase in legal reserve requirements. To correct the excess demand, the central bank increases CRR or and SLR. It decreases the amount of commercial banks' effective cash capital and restricts their credit creating capacity, which eventually serves to reduce the supply of credit in the economy. B. Qualitative instruments. Number 1. Increase in margin requirements. The central bank raises the margin, which reduces the credit generating capacity of banks. If the economy suffers from excess demand, borrowers find borrowing capital less desirable because it lowers the level of aggregate demand. Point number 2. Moral suasion. Advise or discourage lending. During excess demand, the central bank advises, requests or persuades the commercial bank not to advance credit for speculative or non-essential activities. It helps to reduce availability of credit and aggregate demand. Point number 3, selective credit controls introduce credit rationing. In the case of excess demand, the central bank imposes credit rationing in order to avoid excessive credit flows, particularly for speculative activities. This helps to wipe the excess demand out. Monetary policy measures to correct deficient demand. The central bank seeks to ensure convenient credit supply and reduce the cost of borrowing money by its monetary policy. During deflationary conditions, these measures are described as under A. Quantitative instruments. 1. Decrease in bank rate. In the event of a lack of demand, the central bank decreases the bank rate in order to raise credit. This leads to a decrease in the interest rate on the economy that encourages individuals to borrow more money. This eventually leads to higher aggregate demand. Point number 2, decrease in repo rate. The central bank cuts the repo rate to increase credit during deficit demand. This leads to a decrease in the interest rate and that encourages individuals to borrow more funds and helps to raise aggregate demand. Point number 3, open market operations, purchase of securities. In the case of deficit demand, the central bank begins buying securities from the open market. It raises the supply of capital and raises the ability to purchase and increases the amount of overall demand in the economy. Point number 4, decrease in legal reserve requirements. To correct the deficient demand, the central bank decreases CRR or and SLR. It raises the amount of commercial banks' productive cash resources and strengthens their credit creating capacity. This helps investors to borrow more cash and increases the amount of overall demand. B. Qualitative instruments. 1. Decrease in margin requirements. The central bank lowers the margin during deficit demand, which raises the credit creating capacity of banks. With decrease in margin, commercial banks can grant more loans than before against the same amount of security. This helps investors to borrow more cash and increases the amount of aggregate demand. Point number 2, moral suasion, advise or encourage lending. During deficient demand, the central bank advises, requests or persuades the commercial bank to encourage credit. It helps to raise availability of credit and aggregate demand. Point number 3, selective credit controls, withdraw credit rationing. The central bank withdraws the rationing of credit during deficient demand and makes efforts to promote credit. Recap. Let us recapitulate what we have covered in today's session: concept of excess demand, concept of deficient demand, inflationary gap and deflationary gap, quantitative and qualitative measures of monetary policy to correct demand, fiscal policy measures to correct deficient and excess demand, bank rate and repo rate, open market operations, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio. That is all for today. Hope you have understood. So, we will meet in the next episode. Till then, take care. Goodbye.